and welcome to From the Archive, a British television vlog. My name is Greg Bakken. I think for me the very first British television I really watched on a regular basis was The Avengers. Even before Doctor Who or before anything else, The Avengers was the first thing I ever watched on a station in Minnesota called KXLI, Channel 41. They showed it every night.
K41.
St. Cloud.
Now being a Doctor Who fan for many years and have watched all these shows, and then actually watching Doctor Who and going back to watch The Avengers, I think one of the things I found the most fun is seeing the people who you recognize who have showed up in other shows, and pretty much anyone who's ever been an actor in the 1960s seems to have shown up in The Avengers, including, and there's no exception with this release that we're going to be talking about today. In fact, I wanted to kind of go through some of the stars that we see in these episodes of The Avengers that have been in Doctor Who and a lot of other shows.
Ground floor perfumery, stationery and leather goods, wigs and haberdashery, kitchenware and food going up. First floor, telephones, gents' ready-made suits, shirts, socks, ties, hats, underwear and shoes going up. Second floor, carpets, travel goods and bedding, materials, soft furnishing, restaurant and teas going down.
So today we're going to be talking about this exclusive network release, meaning that it's only available on the network website. And it's a Blu-ray of episodes of the Cybernauts. That's why it's called the Cybernauts Trilogy. There were 3 episodes of the Avengers made, 2 from the Avengers, 1 the New Adventures, that featured the Cybernauts. And Network put together a collection of all of these and put them onto Blu-ray. So on here you have the episode from Series 4, the Cybernauts, the episode from Series 5, the Return of the Cybernauts, and then from the New Avengers, the last of the Cybernauts, with the question mark. Are they the last? So far they have been. Now, when this release was first announced by Network, a lot of us archive television fans got really excited about this because we got Blu-ray releases of all the Avengers episodes that were done on film. The thing is all we have for the New Avengers is this DVD set. And these were taken from existing video masters. Even though it was shot in film, they took those video masters and they put them out on DVD. In fact, even Avengers experts who had worked on the Blu-ray releases prior, they weren't so sure that negatives existed for the New Avengers, or at the very least, they didn't think anyone knew where they were. So it was a huge deal when it was announced that an episode of the New Avengers was going to be put out on Blu-ray from the original negative. That was something that people didn't expect to see happen, and that was really exciting. Then the other part to this, which was also interesting, is that this release has 2 episodes of the Avengers that have already been released on Blu-ray, but the thing is that these are also brand new restorations. And we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between restoration and just an HD transfer, which I think is what we ran into with these Blu-ray releases. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. For those of you who have tuned in expecting for me to talk about superheroes, The Avengers was a spy espionage series that ran from 1961 to 1969 with a total of 6 series. The first 3 series were studio-bound, just shot on videotape productions, they are fantastic. The last 3 series were shot on film. And then, of course, the New Avengers that came 1976 and 1977, that was all shot on film. And, you know, the thing about the series, which I found very interesting, is that, when you have those episodes that were shot on video, actually there's some episodes that don't exist from Series 1, which a lot of people know, and in fact, reconstructions are on a number of the Blu-ray sets, which are really nice. But in 2016, Kaleidoscope had announced that they had recovered one of the episodes from Series 1, The Tunnel of Fear, and it got a release in 2018 on DVD, restored, whatever that means for Studio Canal. And I'm not trying to be disparaging of them, but it comes to a point that the idea of restoration means different things for different companies. And we should be very careful of what we call restored versus something that just might be a transfer or something. But there was some work that was done to it, which is kind of nice. Now, talking about Last of the Cybernauts, because this is kind of the new thing about this set. Even though these are new transfers for the other two episodes, the thing I find very interesting is obviously the new Avengers episode. And as far as what the TV Times said about Last of the Cybernauts, this is what it said for its TV listing from its 30th of October 1976 edition, because this episode originally ran on the 5th of November. What it says is, John Steed has met the Cybernauts before, 10 years before, when Emma Peel was his assistant. Steed has almost forgotten about the robot missiles, which nearly killed them, and he has almost forgotten, too, the double agent who, only a few months ago, was horribly burned in a car crash, trying to escape Steed, Purdy, and Gambit. Now the Cybernauts reappear, led by a half-man, half-machine, seeking vengeance on the Avengers, and Emma Peel's ghosts. I don't remember that part about the Emma Peel ghost. I just watched it. It had nothing to do about her ghost. But it is a pretty good episode. Now, if I'm to take a look at past releases of these episodes, we're talking about two separate series, really. We're talking about the Avengers, and we're talking about the new Avengers. Now, the Avengers itself had been released on VHS many times over the course of the years. And we're just talking about the UK. In the US, it had some VHS releases, but most of them seemed to be bootlegs. And really the first official release, they did some VHS, but mainly the first official release was DVD by A&E back in the very late 1990s. But we're not really going to focus on that too much because basically technology has moved on. In 2015, Studio Canal, which owns the rights to the Avengers, started releasing the series on Blu-ray. Series 4 through 6, the series that are shot on film. And here we have Series 4, here we have Series 5, very nice packaging. And I've been told, and I'm going to be honest, for years, especially in the 1990s, I really wanted to get a hold of episodes of the Avengers, and they were hard to get a hold of. There was one TV station on cable that wasn't very easy to get a hold of. Like they had weird schedules and whatnot, and they'd show an episode once a week that I would try to record. But every single time it was from a different era. One didn't really make a whole lot of sense. It was really hard to get a hold of the series, and I wanted to see it so bad. And here we are in the late 2019. We got Blu-ray, high quality, high definition episodes of the series, and I haven't watched them. And I say that because I do know, I've watched bits and pieces. I watched, especially from Series 4, which is my favorite of the Avengers series. But if you go onto some forums, like Rhubarb's and whatnot, they're going to tell you that there's some issue with the audio on these. And I haven't heard it myself, and I feel bad about that. But it's something to kind of keep in mind, because I think in some cases the audio sped up. And in some of the episodes, I should say. And that's really a shame, because these are nice sets. The picture, I think, looks really good on it. We're going to do a comparison a little bit between the Studio Canal and the network releases. We're going to see if we can see any difference in the quality. I'll tell you though, I do like the packaging from these Blu-ray sets from the UK. They're cardboard. What's missing on them is the DVD sets that were released just prior to these. Have some extra pieces of paper with them that was some of the advertising at the time of the episodes, which were kind of nice. So I do miss that a little bit, but this is nice boxes, nice quality. The only thing I would say about the covers, personally, is I'm not sure if I feel like that they really capture the Avengers. They might be too 60s for me. And I know that, like, especially when you got to Series 5, the color scheme goes crazy because they're in color for the first time. But I do wonder if, these look nice, but I guess I don't really think of it looking this way when I think of the Avengers. I don't know. What's your thoughts on them? But nevertheless, they look good. They're loaded with a fair amount of extras, too. As far as the New Avengers, this is the UK release of the New Avengers. It was also released in America by A&E, just like they released the original Avengers series. I almost said proper. I don't know who I'm going to annoy with that. So this has some commentary by Gareth Hunt and Brian Clemens on some of the episodes, which is kind of nice. But like I said, the quality in this is not great, but they were going off of what they had available. And they obviously didn't want to put into the cost of getting these retransferred, which is frustrating, but from the side of budgets and stuff, I don't think you could really blame them, to be very honest. Especially, I'm not sure how well this is regarded by a lot of people. Though I have to admit, I wasn't expecting a whole lot and watched them, and I thought that they weren't bad at all, to be honest. So let's talk about this new release, this Cybernauts Trilogy. Okay, so first of all, the quality of the 3 episodes in this is simply outstanding. This is a beautiful, beautiful look for these episodes. This is a ground-up restoration of all 3 episodes. We know they needed to do new transfer for Last of the Cybernauts, but they did the work on the other 2 previously released episodes of the Avengers also. The picture restoration was carried out by Mandy Whitby, with grading and audio restoration by Jonathan Wood, which tells me that these were done through BBC Studios, BBC Post, whatever they're calling themselves these days. There's more information about the restoration at the end of the booklet that comes with this set, but I'm not going to go into too much detail because that would ruin it, and that's part of the fun about having this. And you're kind of like, wait a minute, what extras? There's a booklet? Yeah, there's a booklet. This is a 32-page booklet that is written by Andrew Pixley, and I think anyone who has any interest in archived British television knows right away, if it's a book written by Andrew Pixley, that it's going to be something that is worth reading. To say that, I'm not saying that no one else can write really good history about British television, but there is something special about something that Andrew writes. Andrew has this way of, when he writes, he connects the dots, that when you're done reading this, there are absolutely no questions whatsoever. And this is absolutely beautiful. The book itself is very well laid out. We're going to talk more about that in a second. But it's a really nice piece. In my mind, it's 32 pages, and it's actually kind of worth the price of the release itself, in my opinion. The release itself, currently on networkonair.com, is £16. And this alone is pretty nice, let alone that you're getting these nicely restored episodes too. Another extra that's on this, which I find really interesting, and I suppose, at this stage, these shows have been released so many times, with the exception of the Blu-ray or the HD of Last of the Cybernauts, that they have to find a way to make this stuff really interesting now. And I think one of the things that they try to do is find how is the viewing experience enhanced. So what they did is, what they call it is the vintage experience. And that's an option of playing all 3 episodes. First of all, backing up a second, all these episodes have their ad caps, meaning before it goes into commercial breaks, British television, commercial British television, would have something like a logo or music leading out or something that kind of is a natural progression into the commercials. To my knowledge, never on Avengers release have we seen that before, but they are all on this disc for the episodes that are presented here, which is really exciting. And you have the option of playing these episodes with commercials that are contemporary to the time. So it's playing commercials that would have aired when these shows were on the air. And that's really neat. It's really fun to watch that. And especially as an American watching it, it kind of gives a really cool idea of what that experience would have been at the time. Whereas other people maybe watching this might be like, oh, I remember that. That was really fun. It brings back good memories. So that's really exciting. It's also interesting for Return of the Cybernauts from Series 5 that all the commercials are in black and white. But at the same time, because color was very new in the UK at that time, and I'm not even 100% sure that they were broadcasting in color at that point. I'm assuming they were, but also we know that Series 5 was made in color at the assistance of ABC in the US. So that's certainly why it's in color, and that's why that the commercials haven't caught up yet. Now, obviously, by the new Avengers, the commercials are in color. And you also get to see Terry Wogan in a commercial too, which is kind of fun. And now as far as the packaging and cover goes for this release, I think it's sensational. It's not a plastic case, it's cardboard, as you can see here, it's cardboard. But the cover itself, I just find very appealing looking. appealing looking. Okay, I got that out of my system. It's very nice, and I feel like it's simple, but that's just if you look at it simple, but it's in fact, I think, a very complex design. There's a lot happening, but it's done in a way that it's balanced, it looks good, and to me this feels more like the Avengers than the other ones. And that's, once again, that's just me. I just love the simplicity of it, and kind of the neat art on the back of it, and same with the actual disc art itself, which is really, really neat. And then, of course, like I said, this book is laid out extremely well. I do love it. It looks great. And it sometimes even goes back into the case the proper way. There we go. Obviously, what isn't great about these cardboard cases, if you call them cases, is when you have the plastic wrap around them, sometimes they're a little too tight, and there's just a little bit of bending on the on the edges there, which is kind of a bummer for me because I'm very much a big fan of having things perfect. If I bought this in the store, I'd probably go through about 20 of them until I found the one that was exactly right. That's kind of how sad I am about this sort of thing. But it's a very sharp looking piece. Now, in my own opinion, and I could be wrong about this, you know, when am I ever wrong, right? Is that I always find that network releases stuff in these little cardboard cases. Like, these are just like quick releases that are put out there, and they kind of test the water to see if people are interested in buying, like if there's enough response to this that will help them decide whether or not to release the new Avengers, which I think they probably would want to release, but if they want to go ahead and try doing another re-release of Blu-ray of the Avengers. And I thought to myself, well, I remember that before Series 2 of Space 1999 came out, they had a quick release of something in a cardboard case, and same with when UFO came out, they had a quick release of 2 episodes that became a movie. Same with Space 1999, that were put together and came out, and those were in cardboard cases. But how does the memory cheat? Let me show you. First of all, I was correct about Space 1999. It did come with a nice little cardboard thing, a little bit more a little bit nicer than, or a little bit less sturdy than the Avengers one. But Invasion UFO, that's in a plastic case. I was wrong for once. I know, right? You're about as shocked as I am. But yeah, this stuff is really, really fun. It's fun to be wrong because it's like, I haven't watched this all the way through yet and I want to do so. So maybe I'll do that after I'm done recording this. So we get that out of our way. Now as far as the release itself, this is a Region B only Blu-ray. So once again, this is, if you do not have a special machine in the US that is hacked to play Blu-rays from other countries, you're not going to be able to play this, which is a bummer. It's a bummer in a lot of ways because this is an amazing release, but even the Avengers on Blu-ray itself, I think the only Blu-ray of the Avengers episodes in the US, official US release from Lionsgate, is actually Series 5 with a cover that actually matches the UK DVD set, if that's not confusing enough. So just keep that in mind. If your like mouth is watering to get a hold of this, you might want to invest in more equipment. If you don't know how to do that, I have an email address at the end of this that you can send me a note and I will help you, depending on what your price point is, help you find out a way to get these, because I don't know how this is going to be released in the US anytime soon. Also for this release, the audio is English mono. It does include subtitles also. So that's something that I know a lot of people like. And it's also nice, regardless, if you are hard of hearing and you need them, or if you're not, they're nice to read, especially with accents and stuff. As far as the overall thoughts on this release, I'm going to be honest. I love this release. I've watched it 3 times because there's 3 things I was looking for. Once I watched it for that vintage experience, which was really fun. The second time I watched it just for the restoration, just watching, especially in New Avengers, the colors pop, because we've never seen them pop like that before in those episodes. Absolutely beautiful. And then the third time for the stories, because I hadn't watched these in a while, and gosh, they're so much fun. It's really fun to watch it. This release excites me and frightens me at the same time, because I'm excited because I'd love to get a full run of the New Avengers on Blu-ray. That would be amazing. As you're seeing from the clips that we're showing, I think you would agree that'd be pretty amazing. The Avengers, the idea of having to rebuy, and there's one set missing from here, and they weren't cheap. Series 6 is missing from my little show and tell here. The idea of having to rebuy these is a little daunting to me, and I could hear people who are watching this say, you don't have to buy them. Listen, I have an illness, and I know a lot of you do too who are into this stuff. If there's better quality of the shows you like out there, you're going to buy it. And they're not forcing me to, but Network is going to make it a pretty rich deal, I think, if they want us to rebuy them. They're going to make probably some really nice extras. They're going to wow us with ground-up restoration. I'm saying if they go that route. There's nothing saying that they will, but I'm saying if they will. But here's an interesting scenario that I find that could really benefit this whole scenario that had come up in my mind. Say that Network does release the Avengers on Blu-ray again, but here's the thing about Network. They have never shied away about putting SD material onto Blu-ray. Great example is The Complete and Utter History of Britain, which, matter of fact, it's even below SD, some of the quality. I mean, some of the stuff is from Shabbat and tapes, and they put that on Blu-ray, which is utterly fantastic. The recently recovered episodes of Till Death Us Do Part, Sex Before Marriage, and the 2 Likely It Lad episodes, if you want to buy them on Blu-ray, you can get them on Blu-ray. They accommodate their feature films, their extras, or wonderful extras to those. You can do that, and you can get those. The biggest one, though, from Network is going to be the Monty Python's Flying Circus Blu-ray, which is going to be an amazing restoration. I can't wait for that myself. So my point here is, what if Network then goes back maybe doesn't release these right away, but instead goes back to those black and white series 1 through 3 episodes that were all studio bound for the most part, and goes back to them, maybe gives it the VidFire treatment, and then releases those nicely cleaned up on Blu-ray. Would I like some of those? Yes, please. I would like that very much, please. So that's exciting if they do that. I'm already started a separate savings account for that scenario. So if that actually does happen, I would be able to definitely go ahead and get that. So that's very exciting, obviously. Now, there isn't a lot to compare video-wise between this because, first of all, we'll definitely do... I'm going to show you a comparison between this release of the Cybernauts and this release of the Cybernauts. I'm going to show you a comparison of this release of the Return of the Cybernauts and this release of the Return of the Cybernauts. It may not look all that different because, like I always say, you never know how the compression is going to work on whatever you're viewing this on after I get done editing all this together. But you're going to see a definite difference between, or at least I hope so, between this DVD of The Last of the Cybernauts and this Blu-ray of The Last of the Cybernauts. That's really exciting. And we do know, based on the notes on this, that manual restoration was done to these episodes, all 3 of these episodes, where I have a feeling, and people who worked on this, please reach out to me, please correct me, but I would say that new transfers were done of these episodes, but probably it was more automatic, dip-lobbing and taking away artifacts from pictures, opposed to someone going through here, which probably sounds like possibly this Mandy going through and taking out all the stuff on the episodes. And like I said, the episodes are amazing looking on here. Oh my gosh, they're absolutely stunning. This is why I have no friends, because I just watch this stuff all the time. So let's take a look real fast at the differences between these episodes and the quality differences.
Not kill.
Oh, that's very decent of you. Oh, is that another one? Looks almost human.
Put it away, Benson. That's the trouble with man. Such an impulsive creature cannot cope with crises.
Hard enough. I'm sure I'll find something. Oh, there seems to be no link here between Professor Chadwick and Dr. Russell.
Except that both of them are missing.
But why? Where's the common factor? They're poles apart. Take Chadwick.
Happy birthday to you.
You were thinking about last year.
What's that?
You, me, Gambit, that delectable Tricia, and Terry.
A year ago today.
Poor old Terry.
You have to learn when to close the file. It's in the past. Forgotten.
John?
Laura, my dear.
So what do I ultimately think about this? I highly recommend, if anyone's interested in the Avengers, even if you have the Blu-rays already, if you can play this on your system, I highly recommend you getting this. It's beautiful. I've already explained why I think it's beautiful. I have no idea if Network is planning on doing more releases of the Avengers this way. I do, in my mind, I think that this was a way to test the waters, so to speak. And maybe, depending on how many people buy this, that there might be more that they're going to release based on that. I am going to tell you this. The Andrew Pixley video, or sorry, maybe it's a video too, but it's a book. The Andrew Pixley book is very well researched. It just covers these 3 episodes, 32 pages. That's well worth it. If this review persuaded you at all to pick up the release, like I said, it's an exclusive to Network. You could probably find it on eBay or something, but really, because it's an exclusive, I would recommend getting it through them. I got it through them. Because what's going to happen is that that's your way, if this is testing the waters, that's the way of them knowing that we want more of this. That's the way of them knowing that we want to see more, we want more releases, our voices will be heard that way. So definitely, if you're thinking about it, please consider going through Network. That's www.networkonair.com, and order that. You can also order Monty Python's Flying Circus too, but I will warn you, and once I get the set, I'm going to do a video on it too, but I'm annoyed. I'm going to say this right now. I'm annoyed at Network because my whole collection is either PAL or Region B. Basically, I want it to match the country of origin it was made. If you order through their deluxe box set, you order through Network, they're going to see that you came from America or you came from the UK, and they're going to make the decision of which box set you get. So even though I want a 50i version, which is the PAL version of Monty Python's Flying Circus, they're going to send me a 60i version, a conversion that's meant for NTSC. And although I'm sure it's going to look quite good because, once again, people who are involved with Doctor Who restoration are involved with this too, don't tell me what I want to buy, because I want it to be the 50i version, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that yet. So I just want to throw that out there right now. Finally, as I mentioned before, I do a podcast from the archive, a British television podcast. Please check it out. It's really fun. I think it's good. I mean, you tell me. But it's really cool. We're on iTunes. The links are here if you want to check it out. Would really love you to do so. And then I work with Kaleidoscope, the British Television Preservation Society. They have this amazing database called TV Brain that is really an amazing repository of information of all of British television history, with episode titles of series, who is in it, some synopsises, what are the archive holdings for it. I go to it quite a bit. It's a subscription service, but you're paying for 30 years of ongoing research. It is well worth it. Please consider doing so. Also, for if you go to TV Brain and say that you have any film prints or you have any old video tapes that you recorded in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and if you're thinking about getting rid of that stuff, reach out to Kaleidoscope, and they will take it and they'll go through it, see if there's anything of interest in it. That's what they do. They preserve British television history. And there's an address on the website that you can go to, and if you have anything you want to donate, please consider doing so. As far as I'm concerned, and I mentioned this to you earlier, any corrections or anything or any thoughts you have on these videos, if you like them, certainly please let me know, because I want to keep doing these only if anyone out there finds these of interest. But if you want to send me a note for any reason, you can do so. Email me at feedback@fromthearchive.co.uk. My Twitter is @fromthearchive. Facebook is facebook.com/fromthearchivemn. And the blog, which has been not updated recently, is www.from-the-archive.co.uk. I will update it by putting these videos on it, probably not quite the same. So please reach out if you want to. And then I'm excited. I'm excited for this release. I hope you think about getting it and that it excites you also. I hope you found this useful. I enjoyed doing this. Now it's time to put this release back where it belongs. See you next time.